Okay, now we're going to cover the 7 steps of the transition. This quote is so powerful by Gary Brecka, where he talks about aging is the aggressive avoidance of discomfort. This entire process is really not designed to be comfortable, it's designed to work. And I want to cover the 7 steps that we'll now review in detail, step by step, and be mindful that we have places inside the workbook that you can review it. There'll be aspects of the podcast that you'll be able to follow through and learn more about it. And the podcast link will always be placed inside the area that you can go to and click on it to listen to the podcast. Unless you've already subscribed, then that won't be so hard at all. So let's get going. Step one is an overview of the 7, is identity and purpose. Who are you? What makes you tick? Why do you get up in the morning? There's your purpose. And by the way, it's really difficult to know your purpose if you don't know your identity. If you've always been someone who's trying to guess what other people want you to be, retirement's a great time not to do that anymore, to be your true self. If you've learned how to play the role of a victim or to be kind of a bully type person your whole life as a way to compensate for the lack of social skills, okay, retirement's a great time to stop doing that. If you find yourself guilt leveraging your kids, your grandchildren to come over and visit you, okay, now's a great time to learn the skills not to do that anymore. Because everything I just said is what's called collusionary. It gives you the exact opposite behavior that you want. If you want your grandchildren, for example, to come visit you more often, stop bugging them about coming and visiting you. It's exactly what they don't want to do when they feel like they're being leveraged. Now, bribing, that's a different thing, but guilt leveraging, no, that's something that's not going to get you what you want. Okay, the next step is social integration. How are you connecting with your environment? There is a research out there that when people stop socializing, when they start isolating, their mental health and their physical health starts to deteriorate. And not just a little bit, but rapidly. Remember, we talked about the aging process. When you're avoiding contact with people for whatever reason, you're going to pay a heavy consequence for that avoidance. Social integration, specifically during the retirement years, is paramount. The next thing to do, along with your social integration, is the ability to restructure your daily activities. Up until now, they were pretty structured. Let's just say you were full-time mom or full-time dad, whatever it might be. Well, kids are gone now. If you've already gone through that process, you realize you had to find a different time frame, a different structure to do with your day. That also is true when you're no longer going into the office or working 8 hours a day. Those daily activities, if not pre-planned, you move into passivity and sometimes boredom. Next is the relationship building and role awareness. In other words, you might have been a CEO at the office, but you're not a CEO at home. You're a different person. You're a spouse, you're a dad or a mom, you're a grandparent, but you're also a mentor if you choose to be. Now, every one of us loves to tell people about us. We like to share our great accomplishments or our wisdom, but nobody cares about you until you first demonstrate that you care about them. I don't know. Let me rephrase that. It's hard to believe, but if you want to do a test real quick, go ahead and try to go in the next visit you have with a loved one. Try not to offer any unsolicited opinions and just wait for someone to ask you what you think about something. The high probability is nobody will ask you anything about what you think, about what you feel, about what you care, unless they feel obligated to. And too often, especially when we get to this age, we love to tell everybody about our aches and pains. I can't tell you strongly enough. They just don't care. As a matter of fact, they don't want to hear it because that's almost all they hear. Far better to find out what's going on in their life. And then pretty soon you're going to find, because they do love you, but they're afraid to love you in the normal way because you're going to compound the guilt leveraging, the not visiting enough, and all the pain that you're in. Suffer in silence until invited to do differently, or let them know in an appropriate way. Man, my back's really hurting, but what I've been doing lately is I've been doing this exercise and I've been doing this exercise. And you can even make that into an invitation. Just as a quick example, I'm no spring chicken either, but Sunday, what I have planned is a 5K run walk with my daughter-in-law, my son, and four of my granddaughters. Now, with some of them, I can run a little faster than my granddaughter today. I mean, my daughter-in-law. But with my grandchildren, they can't do it at all. So grandma and grandpa are going to be taking them into the forest and spending time with them. We're inviting them to go out and do something that they already want to do. What a big difference that is. But if I just invite them over so I can sit in my sofa or in my big chair and complain about my back hurts, my feet hurt, I got plantar, I broke my ankle, I cannot emphasize enough how much that pushes people away, which leads to the next point, mental health. If you lack identity, you don't have a purpose, you're not socializing, your daily activities haven't been structured, you don't get your lane that you're traveling in with your relationships and what your role is, your mental health will deteriorate rapidly. The most recent checkup I had about 6 months ago, I was just sharing with my general practitioner some of the research I've been doing on this one. And he said, it's interesting you say that because I can tell you within a short amount of time when my patients come in and they've retired. I said, well, what do you mean? He says, because their physical and mental acuity drop immediately afterwards. And I can tell that they've started the retirement process. Please don't let that be you. Take advantage of this information and make a difference in your life. Next, approach to leisure activities. There's some research I did on the different things that retirees like to do. And the number one thing is they like to go right to the travel and the planning of the travel. That's wonderful. But I'm telling you, the sequence is out of order. There's so many other things that need to go into it. So when you do leisure activities, if it's travel, if it's to go bowling, if it's to go play bingo, if it's to go play cards, make it with a purpose. Do it intentionally. Have a reason you're doing what you're doing. We will go in more detail on that one a little bit later. To me, that's a big one. Too many people just meander aimlessly about doing nothing for no reason, and they don't even have a reason. There's got to be a reason to what you're doing. It adds to your mental acuity. It creates brain cells. The awareness alone is it creates dopamine inside. It's like the happy endorphins that you're going to get. And then number 7, which we will cover, and I'm going to cover it differently than what normally you hear from someone in the financial planning industry. And I haven't decided whether to do an interview with a planner or not, but I'm going to go over the financial planning side from the perspective of what's called Money University. What do you do with money? What are the ways you can hire professionals and how to hire a professional to do what you want the professional to do, not what they want you to do? It's a big difference. The energy is tremendously different. And you probably already know this, but in the financial industry and the business industry, banking industry, highly, highly distrusted. And there's distrusted for a really good reason. And I'll explain that in more detail through MoneyU. So, okay, get ready, get your notebooks ready. We're going to start going into identity and purpose in the very next one. And I'll do a slide or a video for every one of those 7 steps to kind of bring out more clarity and give you a chance to make sense of it as well. Okay, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Take care.